Okie dokie. Whoa, and we've started the video off with a bang as I almost emptied all my spices into the sink, which would have been fun. But completely apt because we're making kitchen sink soup. My helper monkeys are back again because they're helpful. And if nothing else, they provide comic relief. So what is kitchen soup sink? It's basically what's left in the fridge, pantry, freezer, and we turn it into soup. It's a great way to use up things like a mushy tomato or carrots that are starting to get a little bit wibbly wobbly, celery, those sorts of things. Oh look, the hairy dog is doing circles chasing his tail in the video too. So it's a great way to use up these sorts of things that you'd otherwise throw in the bin, which at the moment would mean that you'd at some point need to go on another trip to the supermarket. So what I kind of collected from around the place was I have a half-used tin of chickpeas that I used for, I made a broad bean hummus the other day. I've got some more other beans. I've got barley. I've some frozen veg. This is just random mixed veg. You can use anything you want. Like there's really absolutely no rules for what you can use. I've got some olive oil, garlic. Again, this is kind of one of those funny recipes that I pull out whenever. I usually put onion in, but I don't actually have any onion at the moment. So if you hold your tongue, you'll stop hiccuping. I usually use tinned tomato, but I can't find any, so I must be out of that. So I'm going to use this mushy tomato. Kids assure me there's no other mushy tomato in the fridge, but okay, we're going to go check again. I've got some random leftover passata, and then we make it all taste yummy by adding things like, did I say garlic? We've got garlic, I've got oregano, I've got my whole big spice boxes here, so we'll pick a few things out of there. No, that one's not even ripe yet. That one can actually go sit with the bananas. And then I'll add some stock. Today I'm going to cheat and use just a little bit of some stock cube things. There we go. They add a bit of flavour. Just remember, if you're using the stock cubes, not to go mad with the salt when you're seasoning it, because they add that saltiness. So to start things off, assuming you can kind of see what's going on, I've got my big heavy saucepan, and
can I put the olive oil?
You can put the olive oil in. Just put a good lug in there. Just swish it around. We love garlic here. That's probably heaps, Ella. You can stop now, otherwise we're going to be in trouble. Right, pop that over there for me.
Garlic rules.
Yeah, garlic is good. So we like garlic here, so we put heaps of garlic in. I often also throw pasta in this at the end, so I'll cook the pasta separately. And if you've ever read any of my blogs or my social media posts or seen me in my clinic, you'll know that the handy little trick that we do with pasta, where we cook it and then we rinse it under cold water until it cools down, and also it rinses away all the starch. When you cook and you cool pasta, potatoes, rice, those sorts of things, you actually convert a lot of the carbohydrates into something called resistant starch, which is really good for your gut bacteria. Actually, do you want to put that on the burner and turn it on so that it's kind of on medium high? All right, yep, you can do it. Okay. That's the way. So, which is really good for your gut bacteria and your gut health. The other thing is it lowers the carb content of it. Then when you cook it and cool it and heat it back up again, even more of that carbohydrate gets converted. So it's a handy little trick. So that's essentially what would happen if we were putting pasta in here. We'd cook it and cool it and reheat it by throwing it in the soup. But pasta seems to be still one of those things that everybody's panic buying. So I'm rationing our pasta because I don't know when we'll next be able to get some from the supermarket. So I'm not going to put pasta in, but we don't need it. This soup's going to be pretty hearty. You've still got hiccups. Boo. This soup's going to be pretty hearty because I'm going to throw a stack of barley in. But you could, if you wanted to, also throw in things like quinoa or rice or, you know, whatever you have handy. I personally think that by the time we've got the beans and the barley in this one, in the quantities that I'm intending to throw them in, that we should be pretty all right in terms of this being able to be a kind of one pot meal. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah? You don't want pasta in it? You're okay with that?
No, it doesn't need pasta.
Doesn't need pasta? Cool. Because otherwise we've got some funny shape one that we can use up. But, should we use the funny shape?
Yeah, I think we should. Yes,
Let's rethink. Let's see how we go once the saucepan's full. So, sorry, I'm just faffing around. This is probably the only thing that I really need to cut up here because can you cut this up? This is a bit fiddly, the garlic. The frozen veg I've got, they're already kind of random pre-chopped things. This is peas, carrot. I don't know, do you want to try and work out what's in here? It says somewhere other than mixed vegetables. Find the ingredients on the back and tell everyone what's in here. Oh, here we go. There it is.
There is carrot, broccoli. There's carrot, broccoli, cauliflower, and peas.
There we go. So that's what's in there. Like a whole variety. So really, you know, if you've got frozen veg, use that. If you've got any kind of random vegetables in the fridge, use that. Use a mixture of both. It's all going to taste good. That olive oil should be nice and hot now. I'm literally going to sweep the mess off the chopping board all over the bench top because it's just quick. And I'm going to quickly and literally roughly chop up this garlic. I'm not going to fuss too much about it. I don't care. The other thing you could add if you have though, actually, which I did last time I made this soup, was the lentils. Remember I added the red lentils in?
Yeah, do you have any?
Yes, so we don't need the lentils if we've got the beans. And I've already got that open tin of beans. So for me, this is about using up what kind of needs to be used rather than opening new things. If I didn't have the already opened chickpeas, I wouldn't add more beans and I'd just leave it as is. So I'm literally, the garlic's, you know, roughly chopped. I'm going to throw that in. Yeah, I know I've got lentils, but look, there's an open tin of chickpeas over there somewhere from yesterday.
That are apparently called walnuts.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so go on, you can show everyone my container.
Why?
Well, because you're making fun of me. So I have this really good pantry system. My pantry's a bit of a mess at the moment. It usually is. You know those people that you see online who have these beautiful pantries? I don't know how they do that because actually maybe I will show you. My pantry is not beautiful. My pantry is chaos. It's organised chaos, but it's chaos nonetheless. So I have these lovely containers that I use to put all my things in.
Apparently these are walnuts.
Yeah, thanks, man. So I label my containers and then I run out of whatever was in there. Then I go, oh, I have this open packet of something else. And yeah, so, you know, I've got lentils in walnut jars and, you know, you name it. It's all a bit weird. Do you want to take control of this? So what I've got happening is I've got my garlic frying off. Yeah, my garlic frying off in olive oil. Just a little bit until it starts to become fragrant.
Closer, I can't.
No, leave it there. Maybe about 2 minutes. Then Ella.
Yeah.
There's a strainer there though. So use the strainer to tip out that into there so that we don't get all the liquid. Once the garlic's fried off a little bit, that's when I dump the barley in. Because when you fry the barley for a little bit, it actually gives it kind of a nice nutty taste. So I'm going to put in about, call it 2 handfuls of...
Wait, so where am I putting
Whoa,
this?
we almost lost the phone.
Am I putting the chickpeas in the sieve or the sieve in the chickpeas?
Neither. Just leave the chickpeas because they're already drained. So I'm putting in kind of 2 big handfuls of the barley. And this little dude's going to keep stirring there. If I could work out a better way, yep, good work. You keep doing that. You give that a rinse for me and rinse off the beans. That would be really good.
Should I cut the tomatoes?
Yeah, once you're done, you can chop.
Wait.
So Ben made a really interesting point. I thought barley was bigger than this. So keep in mind when you throw in things like barley that once they're cooked, they swell quite a bit because they absorb the liquid. So when you're putting in the liquid, put in enough liquid that there'll still be some left after the barley's finished cooking.
Oh, that's why they look so much bigger when they're actually in the soup.
Exactly. You see, I'm going to throw in a little bit more barley because this is our dinner. I don't feel like cooking anything else with it. We're literally having this.
What about the vegetables?
You can just randomly, roughly chop that.
Okay.
Then I'm going to throw in these vegetables. Keep stirring. Just keep an eye on that. Again, I'm kind of going to dump in, call it, let's see. Move out of the way for me, sweetie. 1, 2, 3, 4-ish. We're kind of pretty flexible with quantities here. The dog will eat the bits that I drop on the floor. It's helpful like that. When you're finished, yeah, roughly chop it because it's just going to turn to mush in there anyway. So we're literally just going to throw all that in there. I wish I could work out how to make this point at the stove, but bear with me while we sort of get the hang of this whole video thing.
That's good?
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, here we go. So literally, the tomato's going to turn to mush when we throw it in there anyway. So it doesn't matter that it looks like this. So I'm just going to throw that in there. Please don't do that. The idea is that this is pretty chilled. Like you don't need to go crazy, finely chopping or carefully chopping. You can probably leave that to sit for a minute. I'm going to throw in some oregano now. I put in about a tablespoon because I like the taste. Should we put in beans yet? No, I'm going to put those in after.
Wait, should I mix the oregano through?
Yeah, mix the oregano through for me. That's good. Oh my goodness, so many questions. No, I haven't forgotten anything, but I might forget something soon if I keep getting 1,000 questions. Alright, so can you fill up the kettle with water? The reason I'm doing that is because it's just easier than taking the pot over there. I'm going to move this massive box of spices. So some other things that I like to throw in with the oregano that taste good. Sometimes I put in some smoked paprika. Thyme would work. A bay leaf is always a good one. Normal paprika if you like it. What else might I put in? You can put in some dried parsley or Italian herbs. Actually, Italian herbs would be nice if I knew where they were. So these are all in alphabetical order.
It's one of the unique things in her pantry.
Thanks, Ben. It started off in alphabetical order. If I'm honest, sometimes things, it's not the ideal storage system, but everything fits.
Yeah, because you can't see anything.
Thank you. No, you don't need to boil the water. I just want you to fill it up and breathe in. So at this point, I'm going to throw in the water. Bring that here, sweetie. I don't want you carrying boiling water across the place.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm using the kettle because I know my kettle is a 1.7 litre jug, and it was full. And then that's pretty much filled the pot. Yeah, actually. Yeah, you can stir that. So I'm not going to add any more.
Actually, can I use the bigger spoon?
No, you don't need to, but stop. You don't need to stir that anymore, sweetheart. So after I've added that in, I'm just going to throw in the passata. I'm going to put that one in. I would normally, I think I said before, I'd normally use tin tomatoes, but I don't have any, or maybe I've got one tin left. But you know what, I have this open tomato, and by the time I've added fresh, it's fine. And then I'm going to throw in...
Can I put in a stock cube, please? I love it.
Okay. A couple of stock cubes. And I'm not going to season it with any other salt. There's more than enough in them. I use the reduced salt ones. It's just some veggie stock. It's kind of something I have in the house as backup flavouring. Again, for times like this when we just kind of want to empty out the fridge and the pantry. Because we're getting close to that time I need to go and do a shop.
Can you try not to splash water everywhere?
Yep, try not to splash water on each other.
Hey, at least it's not boiling yet.
That is definitely a bonus.
So if it hits you, fine.
Okay. You don't need to stir that anymore. That'll just do its own thing now. So I've got that now. I'm going to bring you down from here if I can work out how to detach you. There. Right. As you can see, that's kind of what it looks like now. It looks like boiling water with stuff in it. For now, we're just going to leave that there, and we'll check back in as it starts to look a little bit more like soup and a little bit less like
beans.
Wet hurt. Oh, we forgot to put in the beans. There we go. See, the kids are actually really helpful. All right, after this. So there we go. Throw in the beans. Good stuff.
Which are you using the video editing?
Unless you forgot the beans.
No, I'm not using the video editing software you showed me, but thank you, Ben. So I'm having some technical troubles with video editing, so you'll have to bear with me while I iron out all of these things. No, you don't need to mix it. Anyway, we'll check back in once this is looking a bit more soup-like. Let's catch you soon.
See ya.
How long will the soup be?
The soup needs about... Bring it to the boil. So we've got it on kind of a medium-high heat. We'll get it boiling and then we'll turn it down a bit. And it probably needs about half an hour, just keeping it simmering. Keep an eye on it. The best way to check this soup, if you've put barley in, is to see if the barley's puffed up. If the barley's no longer kind of hard and tiny and chewy, then it's good to go. Other ways you could tell is, are the vegetables tender, have the lentils kind of gone mushy. So it depends what you've put in there, but use how cooked the things that you've put in are as a guide, but it's usually about half an hour. Good boy, that was a good question. The kids are actually outside playing at the moment, and I'm reluctant to disturb them because it's actually nice to see them getting some time to jump around. But I'm going to take this opportunity to show you the finished product of our soup. If we have a look here, you can see that our barley is nice and swollen. So that's ready to go. That is going to be a perfect filling dinner. There's no need to add anything. You could add pasta, like I said before, if you wanted to, but that, you know, a big bowl of that all by itself, maybe with some crusty bread if you want, is a perfect way to use up whatever random ingredients you have lying around in the house. So I hope you enjoy that. And remember, you can use any veggies that you want. Just make sure the grains and the legumes are a really important part of it, because they turn it from just being a vegetable soup that you probably would need to add something to into a hearty one-pot meal.